Now, I've mentioned this in previous audios, and I talked about this scenario in different ways, but I feel I need to bring it up again because it seems like it's presenting itself in different forms. This is from my previous experiences, but it seems like some of you are still trying to emotionally manipulate your way in relationships where you're trying to get the other person to think about the relationship in a different way. You're trying to get them to do things your way in the relationship. You're trying to get them to do things in a different direction. You already know where that person is coming from, but you're still holding out hope that they will change their mind. I have been guilty of this in the past, and I have had other people try to make me change my mind. Now, I'm going to do a little chastising here, and I hope you take it in love, and I hope you learn a lesson from this, those of you who this applies to. There are some of you out here that are saying that you want somebody to be honest with you in the beginning of a relationship, but then when they're honest with you, all of a sudden you want to play the victim because you don't want to hear the damn truth when you hear it. Now, you need to decide what the fuck you want, because I'm getting tired, and I'm saying about this in regards to a lot of men, because I hear a lot of men say this, and I'm sorry, brothers. I love you. But every day I go out in these streets and I hear these men talk about, oh, I want myself an honest woman. I want myself an honest woman. But the minute that they are honest with them about something, they sitting up there running and crying in the corner because they don't like the truth when it's given to them. Now, you need to decide what you want. You can't cherry pick the truth from an honest woman. You can't. And sometimes that truth is not going to be a nice truth. Sometimes it's a bitter pill to swallow. You can't decide the timing of her honesty. It's a big thing when you're going to ask for honesty from a woman. If you're going to ask for an honest woman, you want the truth from a woman and you want everything up front. Sometimes she's going to tell you everything and you're going to hear some things you're not going to like. And sometimes you're going to hear, when you ask a question, you might not get the answer in the form that you're going to get it. Some of you have been disillusioned and have been misled and mistreated by a lot of deceiving people in your life. And I totally get where you want somebody to be forthcoming. You want somebody to be there for you and you want to know from jump what you're dealing with. I totally get that. Everyone is entitled to that. But when somebody comes to you in the beginning of the relationship and tells you exactly what they want, it is your decision at that time to decide whether or not that's the direction you want to go. And if that's not what you want, then you need to decide then and there to cut ties. Don't come up with this scenario in your mind that in time that person is going to change their mind, because that's where you're heading down the road to a major disaster. And that's the mistake that a lot of us make. Male and female alike. Many times I've gotten involved in relationships where either myself or the other person has already put their cards on the table and said, okay, this is what I'm looking for. And in the back of my mind, I already know, or the person already knows that's not what they want. But they figure, oh, well, as time goes along and our feelings grow, then things may change. Half the time it happens, half the time it doesn't, and it leads to a breakup. Now I'm at a point in my life where I am not in the business of wasting time. So anytime that I get involved in a relationship, what I say from the bat is what I want. So that way, I'd rather do it in the beginning and say, you know what, this is where I am in my life. This is what I want. This is what I don't want. This is where my headspace is. This is what I'm doing. This is where my energy is. Because I want that person to know from the beginning without wasting another second and have them decide in their mind, does this fit in my life? And if they decide to go forward, then a year later, 2 years later, whatever the case may be, they know what to expect from me. But if they decide in their mind they're going to try to manipulate the situation and just try to ride the wave, and don't expect me to come a little bit later on and start asking questions, something is wrong with them mentally. Because I'm going to come back and ask questions. I'm going to be like, okay, 6 months later, where we at? Year later, where we at? If we're in the same spot that we were at 6 months before, and there has been no progress towards the goal that I mentioned in the beginning, then that's telling me right there you're trying to emotionally manipulate the situation. That you didn't care about what I said in the beginning. No, I'm not trying to be bossy or anything like that. I'm simply stating where I'm coming from. See, you guys are trying to say, oh, she's trying to dictate the whole situation. No, I'm not trying to dictate the whole situation. I'm giving full disclosure. Giving full disclosure is not the same as trying to dictate a situation, people. There's nothing wrong with being honest and being truthful as to what needs to be done. So be very careful when you say you want full disclosure and honesty from a person, and when they give it to you, be prepared to accept what they say and take it to heart. Decide whether or not that's something that's going to fit into your life. And the problem with a lot of people who want to emotionally manipulate the situation is the truth is that they don't know themselves and they don't know what they want. They're not sure. So in the meantime, they're going to hang with you while they try to figure this shit out. And 9 times out of 10, after you leave their energy because you're tired of their indecision, they have to sit with themselves for a while, and then they finally realize after you left the situation that they, you know what, that's finally what I want. Let me go back and get them. No. Half the time it works because some of you do give them a second chance, a third, a fourth, a fifth. And then half the time you're like, no, not anymore. So you got to understand, people, that when you ask somebody to be honest and what their intentions are with you, you have to be prepared for whatever comes out their mouth, and you have to take into consideration that they might be actually telling the truth. Do you know yourself well enough to know what you want from the relationship before you go into it? And for God's sakes, don't play with anybody's time. Because there are consequences for that. And there's some people in this world who take these things very seriously. There are people out here in this world who take their time and relationships very seriously. They have people that are doing reality shows behind this shit. There are people out here that are creating apps and dating sites and creating programs about people who are serious about relationships. There are people out here that are not playing around. They don't have time for people who are indecisive and who want to waste time. They don't have time for folks like you. If you're one of these people that just want to play around, they ain't got time for folks like you. There are too many people out here that are serious. Stick with your own kind and keep it moving. And leave us who value our time and energy alone. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. Peace to you.